back road. Let's just see how bad you are.
It's like playing with fire. It's interesting, even exciting, but more than anything, you have to respect the fire or you'll get burned. The same thing goes for the wilderness. It's fascinating, thrilling, but it's no playground. To enjoy the great outdoors out here, you need to be prepared. You need to plan. I learned the hard way just how dire things can get when you're not careful. It all started with a bigger plan. I wanted to visit the Granite Ghost Town, which was due south on the other side of the Garnet Range. This is where my overconfidence, inexperience, and impatience were almost my downfall. Growing up in the flatlands of Minnesota, a route like this looks ridiculous. Why would I head so far north just to go south? There's a route to the south, isn't there? There's another huge bit of information that wrongfully persuaded me. With what little reception I could scrape up from the hill behind my campsite, Google Maps showed me some sort of settlement named Beartown at the base of the mountains on the other side. A quick jaunt south of that was Bear Mouth and Interstate 90. All I had to do was cut south through the mountains and take the interstate down to Granite Ghost Town. Easy, right?
Damn.
I brought my water and cameras, thinking I could grab some food at a town along the highway. Then I headed south, to what could have been my last ride. I followed the directions I'd put in my notes and I set off. I was aware there'd be nothing but dirt roads, so I kept my speed pretty low. Then there ended up being a few more forks in the road than I'd anticipated, and before I knew it, I was lost.
This is like really, really bad. Oh, there's some parts where it's just fucking terrible, like right here.
I started to get put in a bad mood. I was more upset about how long the trip was taking and how horrible the roads were. Knowing myself, complaining to myself alone where no one could hear is a kind of a coping mechanism.
Not going this way back or out. This is the last time I take this fucking road. Shit. This isn't a dirt road, it's a rock road. It's just rock. It's just rock. Nothing but fucking rock. Stones. Look at this shit.
Here's a look at the region I'd been lost in. The whole region is a labyrinth of dirt roads, all used by hunters, trappers, biology students, wildlife aficionados, hell, maybe even some dirt bikers. It's all Bureau of Land Management land, and there's no reception, no farms or people, and all the signs I read were for landmarks that I didn't understand. The only one that I knew was Beartown, and I wasn't finding it anywhere.
Keep swimming. You can do it, you can do it!
I tried to keep my spirits up, but I had a sinking feeling in my subconscious that the further I got, the farther away I could be leading myself from my destination, this fabled Beartown.
Madness. Oh my god, is this the end? Is it almost over? This is a good sign.
I was really outside of my element. Eventually, I found a crossroads with far too many options. I figured it was as good a time as any to see if I could get reception, directions, anything. I hadn't seen anyone since Garnet, and I was really starting to worry.
I gotta make sure I'm heading in the right direction, otherwise I'm just gonna pop a tire. This is gonna be one wheel, zero compass. Where I am.
Panic was beginning to set in.
Completely wrong direction. I'm surrounded by dirt roads in every direction. I have very little bearing on where I am. Turns out if I turn around and go down that road to the right direction, it brings me right back to the ghost town. That was a completely wrong everything.
Gas was running short, not too low, but heading back to the ghost town also meant additional lost time and fuel. I was, as far as I knew, halfway between two stations. I'd have to either trudge onward or go back.
Figure this out. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna get out of here. Freaking nightmare. Ah!
My helmet camera powered down, and I started documenting myself by GoPro. The mount was on the handlebars, and it's really not the ideal place on such a rough road, but I had few options left, and I still wanted to document this tragedy of an adventure. The roads were coarse, the corridors of the trees were narrow, and I was really getting worried about my tires. And then it happened. I almost couldn't believe it when I saw it, but I started seeing street signs. I was getting close to the other side. Upon finally reaching what was known as Beartown, it wasn't anything. There was once a village here, as was with Bearmouth, but all that remained here were a couple of informational kiosks. It was so strange. Upon riding down the Gulch Road, there were homes on either side that had "do not enter" signs, "trespassers will be shot on sight," and other threatening messages. The people of this region are the descendants of the former occupants of the ghost towns in the area. These Anglo-Hill tribes have the notion of protection of property deeply rooted in their psyche. To the first settlers of this region, a trespasser meant precious metals were potentially stolen right out from under the property owners. It's possible they just don't want to get stumbled on while people search for the ruins of ghost towns around here, but I've always wondered, who were the people of Bear Gulch? Afterward, I got spat out onto Interstate 90, and I was still making my way toward the Granite Ghost Town because that's where the nearest gas station was. I tried to make an effort to push south, but I reluctantly spotted threatening skies to the west. Rain was on the horizon, and it was blowing in fast. I finally called it quits. Stumbling around lost in BLM land had killed too much time, rain was blowing in, and the sun was destined to set in a few hours. There was still time to see one more ghost town though, Coloma, on my way back. It was very enlightening and maturing to be dropped into this scenario. I obviously didn't keep my cool, but I also didn't panic as much as I thought I would. I was too busy bitching about how I didn't get to see everything I wanted to see that day, and I was more upset than anything. I didn't realize it until later, but I missed one of the biggest lessons anyone learns in travel. The worst days make the best stories.